Many homeowners in Ontario believe that once they accept an offer, they need to start moving out immediately. But let me tell you, that's not actually how things work. So let's say you've accepted an offer, your home is sold, but when do you move? And more importantly, when do you get paid? And what actually happens on closing day? Hi, I'm Justine Woolcott, broker with Woolcott Real Estate, and today I'm going to walk you through exactly what happens after you sell your home in Ontario, so you understand when you move out, when you get your money, and how closing day really works. Because this is one of the most confusing and stressful parts about the selling process, and it really doesn't have to be. So the first and biggest misconception in the whole selling your home is this: accepting an offer does not mean you move out right away. When you accept an offer in Ontario, you are agreeing to a closing date, which on the paperwork is sometimes called the completion date. And this is the day where the ownership officially transfers to the buyer. Until that date, you are still the legal owner of your home. And it's usually a 30, 60, 90-day window from acceptance to completion date. And during this time, you continue to live there. You continue paying your utilities and your property taxes and all of the bills, and you maintain full control of the property. You may have heard the word escrow when you're looking at stuff online, but that is really an American term. In Ontario, there is no escrow period. Instead, both the buyer's lawyer and the seller's lawyer work together behind the scenes, preparing all of the sale documents, transferring funds, and making sure that everything is good to go for closing day. But until closing actually happens, nothing legally changes. You still own the home, and you're still responsible for the home. So closing day is the single most important moment in the entire transaction. This is the day when the buyer's lawyer sends the funds, your lawyer transfers ownership, the title is officially registered, and the buyer becomes the legal owner of the real property. In Ontario, this process typically happens electronically through the land registry system. Once the transfer is complete, that is when ownership officially changes hands. And this is the key point that every seller needs to understand. Your moving day is tied to the closing date, not your offer date. You see, in most Ontario real estate transactions, the seller must provide the home vacant and ready for possession on closing day. That means fully moved out, all boxes gone, nothing left. What we find is most sellers move out in the day or week before closing, or if they're moving to a new home the same day, they'll move early in the morning on closing day so that they can move into their new home afterwards. Because here's the important thing: once the buyer's lawyer completes the title transfer, the buyer legally owns the home and you can't be in it anymore. The keys are typically released once your lawyer completes the deal is closed, and this usually happens sometime in the late morning and late afternoon, but that exact timing can vary. What I tell clients is, aim for 4 or 5 p.m. closing, because you don't know what the buyers are doing in advance. And this is why you should never plan your move down to the exact hour. You have to allow for flexibility when you're a seller. So when do you get your money as a seller? This is one of the biggest questions that we get. When do I actually receive the funds in my bank account? So in Ontario, the buyer's lawyer will send the purchase funds to your lawyer on closing day. The lawyer will then pay off your mortgage balance, real estate commissions, legal fees, and any adjustments on the property like property taxes. The remaining balance, your proceeds, are released to you. Now, this usually happens on the same day or within 1 business day after closing, and typically is done via wire transfer or bank draft directly into your bank account. It's really important to note that you cannot receive funds before closing, because legally the money can only be released once ownership transfers, which means that you can only send funds for a new purchase once you have them in hand. So that's why I always like to recommend that late afternoon time frame. And if you're able to, I always love having a buffer day in between of your sale and your purchase so you have time for those funds to go through. It's really why planning is so important when you're selling your home. So sometimes sellers need extra time after closing for whatever reason. This is what we call a rent back, or in Ontario, a post-closing occupancy agreement. This means the buyer becomes the owner on closing day, but you can stay in the home temporarily and pay rent to the new owner. This must be agreed to in writing as part of the contract beforehand. It is not automatic, and it is not frequently done because there are a lot of liability issues that come into play. So if you are to entertain this idea and all parties agree, once closing happens, you're actually no longer the owner. You are technically a tenant in the home. And this can be a great solution if you need flexibility or you need the funds, but it must be planned properly in advance between the real estate agents, the lawyers, and of course the buyer and the seller. Now, closing day does not always happen at 9 a.m. despite what we all want to happen. Sometimes it happens at noon, sometimes 3, sometimes 4:59 p.m., right when the land registry office closes. And this is why smart sellers plan buffers in their day. They don't assume funds will arrive at a specific hour. They don't assume keys will transfer at an exact moment. They don't have cleaners at their new home ready to go at a certain time. They plan ahead. They allow for a margin of error here, especially if they are buying another home at the same time. It's really important to make sure that your real estate agent and your lawyer coordinate the timelines to ensure everything aligns properly in your best interest. Now, moving day is emotional. It can be the end of a chapter for some people, and no matter who's doing it, it is exhausting. It can feel overwhelming. But when you understand the process clearly, it becomes so much easier. Most problems happen because sellers don't understand the timing. No one explained it to them. It's just nothing is wrong, but expectations weren't clear for day of. And that is why preparation is everything when it comes to selling your home. Here's the most important takeaway. You do not move out when you accept an offer. You move out on closing day or completion day. And ownership transfers only on closing day. You receive your money after closing, not before. And proper planning makes the entire process smooth and stress-free. Selling your home isn't just about the price. It's about the timing, it's about the coordination, and it's really about understanding the whole selling process to make sure that you are put in a position that works for you. Because when it's done properly, closing day can become really, really exciting and not stressful. Again, selling your home isn't just about the price. It's making sure that you know how everything works so nothing catches you off guard on this big day. And the truth is, most of the stress that sellers experience comes from simply not having this explained clearly and upfront. It's why preparation matters so much. And it's why who you use as an agent matters so much. Working with an agent that has worked with sellers over and over again is a real big advantage to you when you're managing this transition. Because what you do before you list determines how smooth everything is after you sell. So if you're thinking about selling this year, whether it's in a few weeks or a few months or in the winter, the most important first step for you is understanding what your timeline is and building out a clear plan. I'm Justine Woolcott with Woolcott Real Estate. Our team has helped thousands of families across Hamilton, Burlington, Waterdown, Ancaster, and the surrounding communities navigate this process successfully. If you'd like clarity on your timing, your home's value, or even what your next move could look like, we'd be happy to help. You can reach out to our team anytime or start by booking a complimentary home evaluation at woolcott.ca. That way you can move forward with confidence and without surprises.